Hey guys, and welcome to another Stampin' Saturday video. Today's video is going to feature this big old wood grain background stamp. This stamp is by Do Crafts and I love it. I use it so much. You can see here I've loaded it on my regular size Misty. It fits really well in that Misty stamping tool. I'm going to use this gray flannel ink from Memento. Now I am stamping the entire background of a piece of 4¼ by 5" paper. It's not quite the same size as a front of a A2 card, but it's close. And now I'm taking a punch, just any old punch from your stash that has a corner in it like this square punch. And everywhere one of those wood planks kind of lives, I'm going between it and taking the corner of that punch and just punching away the tiniest little V shape between those wood planks. What this is going to do is kind of mimic the look of a picket fence, or at least that's what I'm trying to mimic. And I do it everywhere that one of those wood planks exists. And you can see how it's starting to really look like a little picket fence. I think it is super cute. And also easy. And remember, you can use any punch you have in your stash that makes this kind of corner. This one that I'm using is actually one that's for photo corners. So it's not at all meant for this. I just thought, you know what, that's a good corner. If you have a square punch or even like a banner punch, you'd be surprised how many you have in your stash that will work. Now I'm putting a piece of black cardstock behind it so you can see what our little picket fence looks like. And I just love it. I think it is so cute. Now I flipped that piece over and I'm doing both sides, top and bottom, the same way. Now we're going to work with coloring. I'm not the best colorist. I just like to find ways that give me the look I want without having to do too much blending and too much work. So I've taken two gray colors. You saw those two colors are Spectrum Noir colors. And I'm using the darkest one, and everywhere that the fence panels meet, and also the top and bottom of the fence panel, I'm just kind of scrubbing in a little bit of shade. Also between the planks, you can see how I'm going up and down between the planks. And I just think this is kind of neat to give the fence a little dimension. I actually don't think it's necessary when the finished product is done, but I thought this might be a neat way to give some dimension and to get you playing with your Spectrum Noir markers and kind of blending them. Of course, you can use your Copics, or you probably could even use Sharpies here if you had something that were light enough colored. Now I'm taking the lighter color, the second color, and I'm sort of blending, not exactly, but just kind of doing a rough, scrubby kind of blend there to kind of soften up that dark gray and just kind of make it work into the white. Again, not even necessary because a fence can be as rough and rugged as you'd like it. So have fun and play with this part and make your fence look the way you want and be the color that you want. Imagine doing this with browns, maybe a fence on craft paper, kind of look like a privacy fence. It'd be kind of cool. I think you could do a lot. Now I've taken another piece and I've stamped just two of those panels on a piece of white cardstock, the same as what I was using for my base. And this one I'm going to cut these in half to create two panels. Here I'm taking those same markers that I used before and just kind of doing the same shading on these guys that I did on the big fence panels. These are going to be the little crossbars that go across our gate. So I'm just going to shade these the very same way. I'm using the chisel tip this time to make it go a little faster. Then I'm sorry this is out of screen, but I did take these in and cut them down the width of my card front. I missed that a little bit on my recording. So here I am doing the ends of the fence panels, and I'm also going to take that lighter color and come back in and kind of fade that into the white. I just basically am doing exactly the same thing here that I did to the front of the card. Now I'm taking some white 3D foam squares, and on those two fence panels I'm putting three pieces, one at both ends and one in the middle. And these guys are going to be, like I said, those crossbars across our gate. So what I'm going to do is take the big panel piece, the front of our card, and I'm going to line it up on my cutting mat so that I can kind of use those grid lines to help me decide where to put these fence panels. And that top crossbar, I bring it down a little lower. I'm imagining in my head a little picket fence gate and how that bar might be a little lower and not at the top. And then this second bar, I bring it down probably about 1¼ inch from the bottom of the card. You'll see here I'm not working exactly perfect top to bottom. I'm kind of moving it down a little. Then I take a 1¾ inch circle punch and punch out this black circle. We're going to make a wreath using our Martha Stewart branch punch, which I love. And we've actually started carrying it in our store now. By the way, there'll be supply lists below in the description. So anything you're interested in, I'll have it linked down below for you. I love this punch and I love to make wreaths with it at the holidays. I think it is super fun and super easy to do. So I've made 2 stacks, a light green and a dark green. Now that circle punch we made, I'm going to stamp in it the words Merry Christmas. So I've gone to the Mini Misty this time, and I'm using the Merry Christmas from G's Teddy Bear Lane. And I'm going to use some white ink from Brutus Monroe, that white alabaster ink. I forgot to get a shot of it, but I'll make sure to link it below for you guys. I love this ink, and I think it works really well on black. Now, I did do something a little different. I inked and stamped this sentiment onto this little white circle about 4 times. Now, the first time it looked great, but it was a little pale for me, so I decided to do it a second time. But as I got going, it got brighter and brighter, and I just kind of kept stamping. And I kept inking and stamping until I thought I had done the best I could do, meaning at some point you can over ink your page and it can kind of start to smear or blur. So I did ink that about 4 times, and I love how white it came out. Now to turn this into a wreath. Taking that circle punch and some art glitter glue, I just run the glue around the edge. And don't worry about the fact that this glue is white. It dries clear, so it is going to show through while we're building the wreath, but when it's dry, you won't see any glue anymore. And what I'm doing is I'm alternating a dark branch with a lighter branch. I find that when I'm making these wreaths, it kind of keeps them from being so flat looking, and it gives them a little dimension. So mixing these 2 colors like this really helps. And you don't have to do dark and light, dark and light. I just tend to do that. You could do 2 darks and 1 light and mix it up any way you want to. That's just kind of how I tend to do it. And I literally just lay these guys around the circle. It's so easy to get the cutest looking wreath. Now notice how I have 2 darks that ended here together. I do one thing to make that not so flat looking. I put a little glue on top of those 2 dark branches and add this lighter color green branch, and it blends in and it just really ties the whole wreath together. I love making these wreaths with that branch punch and garlands. You can do so much with it. It's so fun. Take a look on Pinterest at what all you can do with the branch punch. You will be amazed what people have done with it. I also love this bow punch. It seems like every time I make one of these little wreaths, I grab this bow punch to make the bow for the wreath. I just think it works perfectly. So I'm taking some of my black 3D foam squares, the mini ones, and I've cut one in half. People ask me all the time why I use black and white foam squares. I find in places like this that those black foam squares live in the shadow of the project and you just don't see them. And they just kind of blend in so well, and I love them. So I'm stacking these 2 punches on top of each other because I want to create a little dimension of this bow. Now watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this little pokey tool and I push down into that foam square. And when I do, it kind of lifts the bow up a little bit and allows me a way to make it dimensional like that. So our bow's not just a flat punch, now it's dimensional and it'll kind of pop off of our wreath. Add a little bit of glue and stick that little bow into place. How stinking cute is this? I love it. Then I decide for some reason that I wanted something in the middle of that bow, and I take my white pen and I start doing this little white thing. And to be honest, I didn't love this. It does kind of blend in at the end and it goes away a little bit for the eye, but I didn't love it. But I didn't want to put bling on this one. The reason is I did one with bling that I'm going to show you guys at the end of the video, so I wanted to do this one a little bit different. Now I'm taking my clear Wink of Stella brush pen and coloring over that little red cardstock. And if I had any red glitter paper, I probably would have just punched that little bow from the red glitter paper, but I didn't have any. Now we go back to our fence panel. I guess this is a gate door, and I'm gluing down my little wreath to the top of that little fence panel. How stinking cute, right? I just love this project. It's so fun. So just center that. I'm going to let that dry with that art glitter glue in place, and our wreath is hung. Now I'm making a red card base. And I want to show you why. I cut this card at 5 inches tall. Remember I told you that in the beginning. And the reason is the picket fence kind of goes away when you make it the whole front of the card. So by putting it onto a colored card base like this, see how the pickets really pop at the top and the bottom? I felt like this looked better than the first one I made. I'll show you here. The first one I made it be the whole front of the card, and I feel like the little pickets kind of just go away. So I loved it on the one with the red, but you could do it either way. And this one is the one with the bling, which is super cute. If you like bling, there's an option. Those are actually little sequins that I just glued down to the little wreath after I created it. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. This was super fun to make, and I think it would be perfect for those special Christmas cards. I think this wouldn't be good for mass production because of the coloring and the time, but if there's somebody special you need to send a card to, this is the one. Thanks so much for watching today, guys. Hope you have a great weekend. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.